Now we have with us Dr. Swadhandra Devi, yourself, Dr. Shanmugavelu from Hosur, our earlier trustee, and he is contributing more to the science of Kayakalpa. And Ananda Kumar, we have seen him, and he was kind enough to come with 1 day's notice. And it's very thankful. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. And Dr. Jayaprakash said he will try to join. We will proceed, and we have great pleasure in inviting Sakti Karunanidhi, Sakti Dharan Karunanidhi. You will make a self-introduction of yourself for my sake. Kindly, a short introduction of yourself. Now, I am Rabindranath, R&D Director, 8-year-old director, so not friendly with the IT gadgets. And it is a wonder that I am able to send a link for you people and organize a meeting without touching the laptop or the mobile. So I really think it is a miracle that is I am performing. If there are any shortcomings, kindly put up with it, and we will go next to introduce Dr. Shakti Dharan. Self-introduce, please.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I'm Dr. Sakti Dharan Karunanidhi, working here in the UK as a Director of Public Health in the County of Lancashire. Sky Master account, UK. I'll leave it there, Dr. Rabindranath.
Oh yes. Dr. Ananda Kumar, please.
Thank you, sir. I am a doctor. I work in Birmingham, UK. In my specialty is urology, so I do surgeries in kidneys, pelvis, prostate, seminal vesicle, testes, and penile diseases. So that's my specialty.
You are operating in the Kayakalpa area.
Yes, sir. Yeah, to a certain extent, yes.
Right.
That is why my interest in the science behind the Kayakalpa also is that. And I'm glad to have Shakti is one of not only my very close friend, he's the person who initiated me also. So I always have lifelong commitment to him, actually, he and Thangarajan Master. And I'm in just linked with this Sky Yoga for at least 3-4 years as a very odious and strict practitioner. But I know Swamiji for more than 15 years, and I had the chance to see him and serve him in 2004 to 2006. And my main purpose is to find the scientific background on all the aspects of Sky Yoga, starting from blessings, simplified Kundalini exercises, and Kayakalpa, meditation, and different types of meditation, the main science behind it. And so whenever if anybody is talking, if there is something which is too much away from the science, I'm asking apologies straight away, that I will certainly interfere and try to clear it and get some science behind it. So if I am too much intruding, please excuse me now itself. The whole purpose is to increase the quality of the discussion so that we'll get the best out of everyone. Thank you very much.
So I agree with you 100%. We don't have any inhibition, and you can come in and do whatever corrections, or you can take message or you can leave message. It is a two-way process. We can do it freely. Welcome. I'm happy. Now, Dr. Shanmugavelu.
I am Dr. Shanmugavelu. I am a general surgeon still practicing, 72-year-old. Now my patient is teaching scientific basis of the meditation, especially Manavalakalai Mantra method. And I did my MSc Yoga at the age of my 67. From that day onwards, I'm a teacher. Even today, I had a talk in the MGM College, Pollachi, and now I'm returning back to Hosur. Thank you, sir.
Why don't you come to Coimbatore and go?
I'm having a small meeting in Hosur, sir, evening 7 o'clock.
Right. Too busy.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Very nice. Swamiji will be happy. Okay. You all know Dr. KP, our Director, Vision Academy, and in charge of the PhD program, MPhil PhD program. And he is also now the Extension Foreign Countries Director also. And he is very busy, and still after so many years we are starting to have these kind of deliberations, which was not there before. And this is though it is coming late, it's better than never. And we have been having some Dr. KP 16 to 18 webinars. Webinars on Kayakalpa.
Okay, sir.
Solunga.
Yeah, sir, you're giving the nice introduction. Please, sir. Sir, have I to say anything about that, sir?
Solunga, sir. Without
okay.
time.
So, dear doctors and dignitaries, I'm very much happy that all the experts are assembled here. Actually, we want to bring out the secrets behind Swamiji's concepts. Mainly, we are now concentrating on Kayakalpa because it consists of so many details and so many secrets. It has to be taken out. And similarly, all the exercise, Kayakalpa, meditation, introspection, everything what Swamiji has given, there are some specialities. So that should be brought out and it should be exposed to the public. And they are very simple at the same time, they give all the benefits. But the benefits that should be verified experimentally, and with all that data, we got submitted to the world. Right now, the research wing here in Aliyar, particularly the more than 200 papers, and we want to improve the quality with all your help and the guidance. So I'm happy that all the doctors are available here. Already, Dr. Anand Kumar, Dr. Sanman Sundara Devi, Rabindra, Jai Prakash, they all have contributed a lot for this, the science. So here, the experts are here. I think we will confirm some of the concepts because when the professors and others are taking that, there are some minor difference coming there in the teaching. So to make it uniform, I think the doctors and your expertise will help to make it uniform. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Let me start with this question. What is the purpose of Kayakalpa? Why Swamiji has been advocating this Kayakalpa? What is it practiced for? Dr. Shakti.
Sir, in Maharishi's words, it is to remain youthful, postpone death, and remain youthful in old age also. That's the three main purposes why Kayakalpa has been given to us from a Maharishi's point of view. Now, from a scientific explanation point of view, sir, we can carry on, but Dr. Ananda will have a lot of slides, I think, to share.
Okay. Before we go to the slides, let us have a preliminary.
Yes.
The idea of Kaikalpa, why Swamiji has um, is teaching to sky practitioners, aspirants, is to energize the body as and when required. And how Kaikalpa provides energy to the body. What are the raw materials for Kaikalpa? The raw materials for Kaikalpa are the sexual vital fluid and the process of Kaikalpa generates ojas out of the vital fluid, and that is charged to the entire body. This is straight from the source. And any other medicine which we take, any other method and device we are using will be creating something. We have to introduce something like a medicine or molecule or some food, anything, and then make use of it to generate the energy. Whereas here, it is already available in us, the vital fluid, and that vital fluid is manipulated to get transformed to the energy, the ojas, and that is taken. And now,
Sir,
yes.
what I'm wondering is, there are a lot of scientific postulates,
Yes.
which are hypotheses to be shown in a scientific method that it can be replicable. We have already written quite a lot of research papers and various theses, dissertations have been done, but I feel we need to approach it. We need to approach it.
Not up to the.
That's
they don't
right.
have the depth so far.
That's right. That's right.
The idea we are grouping together.
Yes. சொல்லுங்க சார், சொல்லுங்க.
We'll ask Dr. Ananda to give his views.
Thank you, sir. Sir, from the words what you mentioned, there are some small things which I slightly differ. Before coming to
Right.
the points where I slightly differ, or you may be absolutely correct, or at least there is no science evidence to prove it. That's where it stands. How I
Right.
will take Kaya Kalpa is, it is a form of clean energy. What is clean energy? So my example is these electric cars. So in the electric cars, we feel that compared to the diesel and the petroleum or gas based cars, the electric car is more clean because you are charging the batteries with some electricity. It is running the motor. Since the motor is running on the electricity, it is more clean, like the motor in our grinder or the mixie inside our house, not producing any pollution, and also the motor runs much more longer without any major problems because the source of the energy is so clean. If we try to maintain our body with the food what we eat, any food, the food can be divided into like sattvic food, tamasic food, and rajasic food. Tamasic food is the worst. We all know that it will make us lazy and put us into more weight, and it should be avoided completely. Rajasic food makes us more active and good for the athletes or good for people who are having a lot of physical job. But the Rajasic food should be limited only to certain extent because the amount of antioxidants the Rajasic food create is too much, and too much of Rajasic food, a very good example is a red meat, can cause a future carcinogenic, which means producing a cancer. The best food is sattvic food. Even if a person is taking a sattvic food at correct amount, at correct time, and eating only after getting appropriate hungriness, any food will produce a small amount of antioxidant. If a person is taking only sattvic food at correct volume, not overeating, maintaining healthy, living till say 120 and dying without any cancer means, the sattvic food is so good, it may produce cancer when the person is reaching 200 years or 160 years. So the person is dying at 120 years before the actual whatever minimal antioxidants producing the cancer. So this is for the food.
You mean oxidants?
Sir,
You
yes,
mean
oxidants.
oxidant.
Exactly. Oxidants are the
Right.
carcinogenic,
Right.
antioxidants are the good things.
Yes.
So any
Yes.
food we eat will produce oxidants and free radicals. That is the science behind it. So what is
Yeah.
the best food so that the amount of oxidants and free radicals are at the lowermost minimum? The best food is, the first one is the air which we inspire by pranayama. So relatively it is more cleaner. It has got the oxygen, pranavayu, so it produces comparatively less amount of oxidants or free radicals. The one more better thing is the Kayakalpa, where we are trying to utilize the electromagnetic forces which is present everywhere, which is present in our own body as a biomagnetism, so that the forces by Kayakalpa we are equally spreading into the different necessity organs, and especially we want to keep it at the better chakras so that the body's health is maintained. Kaya Kalpa, Kaya means body, Kalpa means keeping it stronger. There is also another meaning for Kalpa, which is a unit for the time. Kalpam means it's a many years, and it's not like a century. It's like one full Kalpam is more than many centuries. So we are preserving the Kayam body into a very longevity period. That is the inner meaning of Kaya Kalpa, using the best energy and spreading it appropriately so that there is no stagnation. Stagnation of the energy is the reason for maybe like again oxidant accumulation and lack of metabolism that can create a kind of a precancerous lesion if it is not appropriately treated. So this is my understanding how Kaya Kalpa works and why it is needed.
It is well said. It is the cleanest energy available, which you can prefer. So this is the cleanest, purest, and it is readily available. You need not do anything to get this energy. It is readily available. It is not alien to the body. It is your own. And so there is a less likelihood of getting any allergies or any problems with this energy. This is a process which is going on in the body naturally, and you are creating it. Your intervention is creating this energy at will. That's all. It is everyone is doing consciously or unconsciously this process of converting the vital energy in the body into the biomagnetism, and that is the process which is operating in Kayakalpa, and that itself is the reason why this is the best source of energy. And we will see if we are not utilizing the vital fluid properly, what will happen to it? It will be going as a the surplus will be going as a waste. It is not stored in the body, I suppose. Do you agree with Ananda? The vital fluid is not stored in the body. Once it is produced, it has to be utilized. There is no storage possibility. Just like a protein, it cannot be stored in the body. Either it is utilized or sent out.
Sir, I
So
slightly
it is very good. Please
Yes, sir.
carry on.
Sir, I slightly differ regarding the sexual vital fluid alone. Um, as per the scientific thing, what I believe is the sexual vital fluid as such is not changed into energy and taken from the lower chakras to higher chakras during the Kaya Kalpa. What I understand till now, because once we do more researches, once we hear from others, the things will change, is if somebody is not wasting the sexual vital fluid by unnecessary excess of ejaculation, the amount of energy needed to produce the sexual vital fluid either in men or women will come down. So there will be an excess of energy present in the lower chakras, which is changed and utilized by Kaya Kalpa for the higher chakras and the betterment of life and healthy body also. So the sexual vital fluid is not directly changed into the energy which is used in the Kaya Kalpa. When a person is அந்த ஐந்தில் அளவு முறைன்னு சுவாமிஜி சொன்னதை ஃபாலோ பண்ணி, if they reduce the ejaculation, the amount of energy he conserves by not diverting the energy into the ejaculation is used in Kaya Kalpa. That's why it is very useful and very working and very successful in a person who follow abstinence to certain extent, like a maximum of one ejaculation every 2 weeks, which we discussed in the last session. Thank you, sir.
It is Kaya Kalpa is doing one more important job, that is it is conserving the vital fluid. That is, in the normal day-to-day life, if the vital fluid stock increases a critical level, it is automatically, it stimulates the process of ejaculation by some means or other. But if the vital fluid is kept below that critical level, which triggers the process of ejaculation, then we are conserving the energy within ourselves. What Kaya Kalpa is doing is exactly retarding or preventing the process of ejaculation. With Kaya Kalpa, you have control over the sexual urge, and that is done because the vital fluid, the stock of vital fluid present in the body doesn't reach the level to initiate the process of ejaculation. We used to give the example of a overhead tank and water overflowing there.
May I come in here?
May I know?
Sorry, sir. நீங்க பேசி முடிங்கய்யா, நான் வரேன். I want to come in here, but please complete what you're saying.
Yes, please. No, you can come in. I can take it later. I have conveyed that it is a process which prevents, delays, decreases the ejaculation. Carry on.
Okay, the point I was trying to make is a slightly broader point in terms of explaining this in a 21st century scientific framework. We just probably need to take a step or two back in defining what we're talking about here from a research point of view, and also from an approach in which we are using scientific concept to explain to people, in this century, particularly young people. Having experienced this with fellow people in here in England, particularly those who are not from Indian background, explaining to white people who are working in academia and in the medical sciences field, what I found after listening to Maharishi's presentation, there is a video online, he has given it in English. I tried to understand each and every word that he said. And after deep thought, I feel like we need to take 2 or 3 steps back and come at it trying to understand the approach that he was trying to take in that speech. And if you may indulge me for 2 minutes,
Yes.
the overall ultimate central concept to this from Maharishi's point of view, it appears to me like world peace needs to come via individual peace or inner peace. And a framework he has given is a harmony between nature, self, and society, and various techniques that are here. And when he starts describing Kayakalpa after defining what he means by this, and I do think at this point, we need to pause and try to understand in his context, in his days, what his intentions would have been when he tried to define that and define the approach to that. And in that he says the definitions we have covered so far, and therefore the research question, the approach, I feel that we need to start writing down and coming at it again and again until there is consensus, at least amongst the scientific community across the world, is how does the technique of Kayakalpa lead to vitality of humans. And in that we need to define what the technique is in a method that I want to present, sir, and also what we mean by vitality. Is this life expectancy? Is this healthy life expectancy? Or is it just very specific list of diseases that Maharishi has outlined? And I think there is many more. But before we come into that, I wonder whether the various domains of science also is relevant here. It is very tempting, especially from my training and perspective, very tempting to dive straight into medical sciences. But I feel that we need to approach it in a slightly broader scientific framework, which should include natural sciences, from the cosmic understanding to quantum understanding, and particularly the current prevailing scientifically agreed concepts of transformation of potential energy to kinetic energy. And that is point number one. Point number two, I think Maharishi also outlines how Kayakalpa draws on from biology, physiology, psychology, sociology, and genetics as the 5 branches of science. And again, upon reflection, it appears to me the natural sciences could be the starting point. Wherever we start, we have to cover all these things. That is why that cycle, clear understanding of how these sciences interact. But once we are clear about the natural sciences, the next question is how that understanding of natural sciences interact with human sciences, or at least medical and physiological sciences that we are aware of. And in that, sir, I think we need to understand at various levels, at a cellular level, at a systemic level, and also how all these things interact as an integrated human body level. Particularly the technique of toning up of nerves and Ojas breath. If that is the central concept of the practice, we need to completely unpack each and everything that we are aware of in that technique and relate it to how various divisions or disciplines within the human sciences that we are aware of needs to be outlined in my reflection, sir. And then there are 2 more sciences, particularly behavioral sciences. How in wider other practices also, Maharishi hasn't really just plucked Kayakalpa out of in separation to others. It has come to us as a package, is my understanding. How this relates to meditation, how this relates to physical exercises, introspection, all of that, the behavioral sciences on this moderation, the Aindil Alavu Murai, Mahil Boham, all of that, I think there is a link, sir. From a scientific point of view, we need to really completely unpack this. Otherwise, we will be tempted to go down a particular scientific path, which may or may not give us the complete explanation, and it may take another 100 years. So that's my motivation behind saying this. And the final one is psychological sciences and how that interacts with particularly the functions of brain, and in particular the effect of Kayakalpa practice on telomerase at a cellular level, and various increasingly expounding knowledge about the synaptic relationships between the synapses and what happens in the interstitial fluid. Final part I wanted to leave this this input is the idea of sexual vital fluid in itself, or indeed vital fluid, or indeed fluid. When Maharishi has spoken about fluid, he tried to explain this as paima porul, and we may have conceived this as liquid. And I wonder whether there is something in there that perhaps we have, I have lost in understanding about the idea of vital fluid itself. And I wonder whether there is a very immediate and direct and deep link when we say vital fluid, especially if you understand this as the absolute space, which is the paima porul. Then how does that permeate through our human body? And I think there is the ultra nano quantum level, there is an immediate relationship that we are probably at risk of overlooking. So I just wanted to put that as an approach and handling of this whole subject of science behind Kayakalpa is what I wanted to say. Thank you for now.
Definitely, Shakti. What you said is very important and very broad. It ticks all the vital things. And my only view is, when we are taking it slightly into the historical or Vedic or something not mentioned in the scientific background, we need to find the science behind it. That's the main thing.
That's
And
right. But yeah.
what you said about that paima porul is accepted in the last meeting. So the meaning is, we are not thinking that there is a sexual vital fluid like a cup with some fluid, and the fluid is changed into Kayakalpa, into the higher energies. That we have disproven. So mostly the Kayakalpa works with the help of a kind of energy, biomagnetism, and it is more of fluidity rather than the fluid. And the biomagnetism is taken from the lower chakras to the higher chakras, and with Ojas we are spreading into all the parts of the body.
What's the difference between the biomagnetism and the Ojas?
Sir, Ojas is the final thing we do in Kayakalpa after every position. Ojas is the breathing with a very purse-like teeth and lips, so that it creates that streaming effect, which I showed you in my slides by using the hose pipe, which has got a small narrow opening, and a hose pipe which has got a big opening. So because of that, the amount of energy produced by Pascal's law is spread all over the body. So that is the last part of the Kayakalpa, that is Ojas. Before that, what?
Ojas
Yes,
and
sir.
Ojas breath are
Different. Yes, sir.
different.
So
And
Ojas,
Ojas and biomagnetism.
Ojas and biomagnetism are same, sir.
That's it. It is same. And the vital fluid is a formless energy. Is it okay?
Sir, your volume is not clear. So Ojas and biomagnetism are same because of the
Same.
different name. If we use the term biomagnetism, it's easy for publication point of view. If we are using Ojas, when we are using Ojas for the first time, we need to explain to the readers what is Ojas. And it's very nice if we stick to biomagnetism, because it is much more accepted term from the
Actually,
Western world.
Ananda,
Yes, Shakti?
Ojas is a very universal term.
Okay.
Rahu and Ketu also is associated with Ojas. So I would like to understand what is the difference between Ojas as in biomagnetism and Ojas as in when we do the Panchabhuta Navagata meditation, when we say Rahu and Ketu or the dark Ojas energy. I think it is, I feel like it is much more broader than biomagnetism.
The
Both of these are.
energy,
Sorry, madam.
the energy referred by these terms differ from one another in subtle ways. Grossly, Ojas and biomagnetism is the same. Maharishi uses the term Ojas until it reaches the crown. And when he spreads it, he uses the term biomagnetism.
Rabindranath sir, in my view,
Yes.
in my view, Ojas and biomagnetism all same. Why it is same is this Ojas, this biomagnetism is called as Paramporul. It is what present in the Shakti Kalam even before Big Bang. Once the Big Bang happened, the Ojas in the Shakti Kalam has resulted in the formation of the universe, planets, stars, everything. What Shakti sir is mentioning is the Ragu and Kedu. It is very important that we are correlating Ojas with Ragu and Kedu in the Panchabhuta Navagraha Davam, because Ragu and Kedu as such they are not planets or like a star or sun. They are more of the energy. That's why I think Shakti sir is mentioning that the Ojas, the Ragu and Kedu are also a form of Ojas. In my view, if that same magnetism energy is present in any living being, it is biomagnetism. Bio means living, a short form of biology, which we can divide into zoology for animals and botany for the plants. If it is present in the living being, it is biomagnetism. If it is present in the non-living being like electric wire, it is electromagnetism. And since Ragu and Kedu are also a part of this phenomenon, that's why Saktishar is mentioning about the Ojas in relation to Ragu and Kedu. In my view, all the energies are same. All the energies came from a single source, Paramporul. And Swamiji mentions it with three qualities like Vatra, Irpu, and high intelligence, and it will never get depleted. Even the old songs like Purnamidam, Purnamadam is also explaining the same. Whatever you take from it, the Purnam will still maintain. Even if you add anything which you can't, the Purnam will still maintain. That is my understanding about the Ojas and Parampuram.
Okay.
I can tell my views, sir. Sir.
Yes, please.
Ojas, it's an energy. It is in the universal energy. But according to the philosophy, andathil irupadu pindam, pillathil irupadu andam. Like that, what is present in the universe also present in our body. In that way, Ojas is as like the Ojas produced in the universe, Ojas is also produced in the body. That's one point. Then another one which I had a reference is, it is from the Deepak Chopra's Perfect Digestion book. It is regarding Ayurveda. In Ayurveda, they are telling the Ojas is the purest energy produced in the body. But at the same time, he tells when the purest energy is produced in the body, at the same time, waste material is also produced, because it is being separated from one thing. When the purest is separated from that part, the waste material also produced. The name of the waste material is called Hama. So he says in the Perfect Digestion that Ojas is also produced from the food. At the same time, it is an energy. And my feeling is any energy in our body, there is no Wi-Fi system in our body. It has to be transmitted through the nerves only. So it is having a neuroendocrine path in our body. In that way, if you look at what I am already talking is, when we are being just breathe and Molabandham and Ashwini Mudra, through the parasympathetic pathways, we are stimulating the pathways, and through that we are activating the neuroendocrine path, and through that we are conserving this energy. And in one more book I studied, it is about the Paul Brenton's Search in Secret India. In that he meets on Alia Swamiji. That man says, if we can keep the energy between the in the Sushmana Nadi, between the Brahma Dwara and Brahmandra, that we can maintain our life for a long time. That man quotes that his guru, he is living for the first 500 years, he is in Himalayas. This happened in 1936. This is what they are quoting. So, not only from our Swamiji, I am getting all these things from these people also. I got this word from Ojas from Deepak Chopra that corresponds to this energy. And what that Adayar Swamiji says, it has to be blocked in the Sushmana Nadi. That's what we are doing in the Ojas breath also. So, in that way, it is an energy we are conserving, but it spreads through the neurodevelopment. This is my idea, sir.
That's a very nice summary, Shanmugavelu sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
definitely there is a relation between the parasympathetic system, and that's why in my previous presentation I showed the cranial nerve in vagus nerve, which travels all the way from midbrain, collecting all the important viscera like heart, lungs, blood vessels, pancreas, kidneys, and bowel, and ending up almost as low as the large bowel. So it is very easy for us to think whether we are using this vagus nerve as a conduit to in the Kaya Kalpa. It's easy to explain if we want a physical thing to explain how the Kaya Kalpa works. But this is
Anand, what I am telling is in my thing, my DPT is with our Professor Ravindranath also. In that, what I read is, you are telling the parasympathetic pathways through the vagus nerve. There is one more part, because the upper end of our body gets the parasympathetic pathway through the vagus nerve. The lower end, the pelvic part, urogenital area, sympathetic through the S2, S3, S4, the beauty is it is combination of the somatic nervous system, it's a combination of the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. But parasympathetic is the dominant one here. So when we use any perineal stimulation, Molabandha or Ashwini Mudra, actually when we stimulate the pelvic diaphragm, we are stimulating the parasympathetic fibers in the sacral nerves. Because if you again go back and check it in the book, you will understand this. So I am talking more through the sacral nerves. You are telling the same path, but that comes through the vagus. Vagus ends in the large intestine, but the pelvis is supplied by the sacral. The parasympathetic supply comes from the sacral nerve, frontal nerve.
I agree. I was almost about to complete it. So if you want to
Yes, sir.
make
Okay.
it, if you want to make it like a physical substance to explain Kaya Kalpa, the vagus
Yes.
nerve is a very handy long nerve for us, and it completes such large bowel as you said. Then we have a hypogastric plexus. Hypogastric plexus has both sympathetic and parasympathetic. S2, S3, S4 takes the
Yes, sir.
parasympathetic part of it. That is the one which supplies both the urogenital diaphragm and the anus sphincter, urogenital sphincter. So that is the one supports the whole pelvic hammock. And
Yes.
so when we are doing the Ashwini Mudra, that is the one we are stimulated, that results in more acetylcholine cells which were available in the parasympathetic area alone. If we are doing only Ashwini Mudra without any bhavanai or without any respiratory movement, we are just strengthening the pelvic floor muscles. That's what we advise for people going for prostate surgery, women waiting for labor, or people who develop incontinence, both feces and urine. So this is the medical side of it. But when we mix that with the inspiration and bhavanai, that we are taking the energy into the higher chakras, then we need to take a use of vagus nerve. Or the other way is we can go in the sympathetic nerves, the two chains present on the side of the spinal cord itself, which will tick the box about this Idakalai and Pingalai. There are two sympathetic chains on the either side of the spinal cord, and that also goes up to the Agna chakra, and beyond which there is no real track. So that's why if we see the Idankalai and Pingalai, it goes up to the Agna chakra, and then there is only Sushumna which has no real named physical object. But since we are thinking about the fluidity of the energy, we don't really need the physical conduit. The fluidity means it is like the waves in the sea. For a normal observer, ignorant person, if somebody is sitting in the beach and seeing the waves, he will think that when the waves are coming, the water from the center of the sea is traveling in the wave and coming to the shore. That is not correct. The wave is just the propagation of the energy. So at one point the wave goes up and down, the water just goes only up and down. The energy is transmitted to the next set of water, that goes up and down. Only the energy is transmitted, while the water is always going up and down. That is the way by which the waves are propagating. Only very close to the shore it will appear as if the water is moving that 1 or 2 feet closer to us, but the water always goes only up and down. That's how the wave looks. So similarly, the body is used as a conduit, and since the energy is taken up, only the energy is going from one place to another, while the conduit remains the same. There is no real fluid goes there, and that's why the fluidity is different. And as Shakti sir mentioned, the paima porul, which means only the energy is paima porul, nothing a physical thing is going to the spread. And once you do the Kaya Kalpa, you will get little bit of good amount of accumulation in the higher chakras, and once you do the ojas, you can use to spread it into rest of the body. Since you are doing this Kaya Kalpa, automatically what happens is there is more biomagnetism available in the higher chakra like Agna chakra or Turyadinam and Sarasarahara chakra, so that you will have better clarity in life, and the amount of energy really stagnating usually in a person not performing Kaya Kalpa in Mooladhara, Sarasarahara is decreasing. That's why what Rabindranath sir said, the Kaya Kalpa reduces the unnecessary excess surge to have the sex, and that interest will be moderated. It is not avoided, it is moderated. They are still may perform sex better than the people who are not doing Kaya Kalpa, but they can have a good control over it. So the Mooladhara won't be having an unnecessary stagnant energy, and that's why the unnecessary sexual interest is getting moderated.
So can I come in here?
Yes, Shakti.
I want to let you all know I can probably maximum stay for another 15 minutes, but I would love to be continuing this conversation. I wanted to bring us, sorry sir.
Since we have only 15 minutes, we can give priority to another agenda. That is, now we have started, we have come to know each other, and we all know Kaya Kalpa. Now, how to proceed further? For the next question.
Yes.
If it is, I feel, if it is better that we have some set of questions and then try to target it.
Yeah.
It will be easy. Now we have a very fast this thing data, so that we don't make any progress. So I think what do you think?
Yeah, we can. Definitely. We can. Definitely.
Sir, let Shakti finish.
No.
He almost
so Sakti, now we have to focus on the session also, and now
yes.
for
Sir, I was only going to, about to say what you were saying earlier, which is there is now only one approach to explain the scientific postulates. We are only postulating at the moment, and what I feel we need to do, even within this, it relates to stimulation of nervous system. I think that on that domain, as the domain for further exploration, I think we need to answer at least 3 questions in a scientific way, not to go back to what Maharishi said and what is in the Vedic literature or in other. If it is relevant in a scientific explanation, I think we should approach 3 things. One is, a group of individuals are doing or endocrinal or biomagnetic changes, are we likely to see that are people who are not doing Kalpa? And whether just doing Kalpa or along with other is a real exploration to be had, sir. But chemically, next time when we meet, it will be really good to understand what neurological changes, whether through radiology investigations or through neuroendocrinal explorations, what we can postulate to be different, that is significantly different to people who are not doing Kalpa, would be one place to start. And then the second about measurement methodologies. What do we understand are the current approaches to measurement, whether that is biomagnetism or neurological changes, indeed neuroendocrinal path. That will be my initial starting point. I'd like to come back at another time at the cellular level, but we can leave it for another time, sir.
Okay. Shanmugavel?
Yes, sir. What he said is correct. Yes, sir. Now we are having certain things to assimilate. Let us talk in the future.
So, how much time we have, Ananda or Shakti?
I think
Their convenient time is more sir.
No. How much
I
time we
1 o'clock
can
here, sir. Another
take?
maximum 20. I have a meeting at 1 o'clock, so I'll be going straight from there.
I can stay for some time,
Sir,
sir.
I can stay for
but-
another
So-
15 to 20 minutes, sir.
Yes. சொல்லுங்க ரைட்டோ
Dr. Sir, Ravindra sir,
Yes,
it's
sir.
audible. Can you hear me?
Audible, sir. Clearly.
Okay, sir. What Shakti has given us a very nice idea. I think we can produce, we can progress in that idea, sir. Yes, today the discussion is very nice, but still we have to do a lot of
We
research
have
on
not
that.
we have started to discuss.
Yeah, some more topics allotted in that, and you fix the next date, where we can meet again. And I think you can use our earlier Zoom ID, so that will be a permanent one. But please make it that the day and the time so that we can allot it for that also, sir. So thank you very much for all the doctors and the experts. Nice discussion. Still, some inputs have been given by the doctors. Thank you.
A request, and Ananda.
Yeah.
You both,
Yeah, the youngsters, Saktin or Ananda, they can do something bold.
you both write down the agenda for the next meeting and also the time so that we can have it at that set time.
Okay, sir. I will discuss with Shakti sir and get back to you with the timing and agenda.
Oh, yes. Right.